typically praise members of the Bush administration on the balance, but you know what? Credit where credit's due. The former Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, appeared on The View, and the five women started a conversation about whether parents should have a voice in what their kids are taught in schools. Unsurprisingly, Joy Behar didn't think parents should have any rights or say in what their kids learn.
Well, I was a teacher, and there is a curriculum that teachers follow, and it's studied by supposedly experts. I have a lot of education credits because you learn how to teach and you learn your subject. So you can't really pit that up against a parent who just is annoyed that you're teaching, To Kill a Mockingbird.
You imagine having Joy as your teacher. What I don't understand is who these so-called experts are. For all we know, the people reviewing what your children are learning were all bought off by companies pushing CRT, Merrick Garland's son-in-law. Here's how former Secretary of State responded, though.
First of all, parents ought to be involved in their children's education. Their children are in school 7 hours. That's a very formative period. And I think parents ought to have a say. We used to have parent-teacher conferences. We used to have PTAs.
That's right. There are plenty of school districts across the country that listen to the parents, and they're better off for it. In most communities, parents are integral to school curriculums, and more parents know what's best for their kids. Bureaucrats, I don't know, not bureaucrats. But what Condoleezza Rice said next is what really caught our ears, because she was right. It's something that the liberal ladies of The View could not argue with. Listen.
My parents never thought I was going to grow up in a world without prejudice, but they also told me that's somebody else's problem, not yours. You're going to overcome it, and you are going to be anything you want to be. It either seems so big that somehow white people now have to feel guilty for everything that happened in the past. I don't think that's very productive. Or black people have to feel disempowered by race. I would like black kids to be completely empowered, to know that they are beautiful in their blackness. But in order to do that, I don't have to make white kids feel bad for being white.
That's really important. That's right. Every person is beautiful no matter what you look like. Condoleezza Rice hit the nail on the head. White kids should not be forced to feel shame because of things that bad people they've never met did decades ago. The only thing you can do is teach them the history. The whole history, so they grow up and learn never to repeat the atrocities of the past. Unfortunately, there are school districts and teachers that don't think the same way. The View host, Sarah Haynes, mentioned a few of them, and we thought it'd be a good idea to show you some of her examples. In California, the Department of Education wants to remove accelerated math courses because minority groups are underrepresented. Again, what these liberals punish the people that did nothing wrong instead of lifting up minority groups by pushing them towards advanced courses where they can learn more and have a leg up in life. It's really that simple. Staying in California, an elementary school teacher forced their third graders to deconstruct their racial identities. Third graders. Then rank themselves according to power and privilege. The teacher who gave the assignment told 8-year-olds whether they're a, quote, dominant culture or not. That means a white middle-class, cisgender, educated, able-bodied Christian. So according to their teacher, being an educated, straight white person who believes in God is bad. Lowest level, lowest rung on the ladder. In Greenwich, Connecticut, a middle school distributed an anti-bias survey. Parents of white children said their kids were ashamed of their skin color. Literally bullying kids into feeling bad about how they were born. Now, I'm not saying that's a definition of racism, but, well, yeah, that's the definition of racism. A belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities. I'm pretty sure that's racism. And it's not just the school board, folks. We need to rein in our teachers who think they're smarter than they really are. If you're hired to teach fractions, why are you teaching kids about race and sexuality? Parents need to stay on top of what their kids are learning in school, because otherwise we'll get renegade teachers doing whatever they want. And how about this one? A school district in Palm Beach County, Florida, was under fire after they announced their commitment to dismantling structures rooted in racism and white advancement. This is my favorite story because it shows the power parents have in dictating what their schools teach. A week after this story came to light, guess what happened? The school board reversed course and took the racist language out of their equity statement. This proves how strong the voices of parents really can be if you stick together, folks. It's rare for the women on The View to agree with each other, but when people like Condoleezza Rice come forward and show logically, lay out the argument against CRT, you can't do anything but nod your head. Well, except for Joy Behar. She can't seem to figure it out.
They learn about their history, and there is not two sides to the story.
We all have to learn about our history, but we also have to recognize that we have to live together, and we're going to do better living together.
We're going to go.
Yeah, we're going to go. Is Joy ever going to learn? Don't hold your breath, but do think about these issues come November 2022, folks. This may be the last opportunity to make some changes, to get back some of that power the left is languishing currently in.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.